Happy Sunday. Great to have you with us here at STL Sports Central. Matthew Rocchio, Randy Karraker, getting ready for the National Football League. And there are some big games today here in week 9 with playoff implications. And Matthew, first of all, good morning. And second of all, this is going to be a fun day. There's going to be some good games. And I'm intrigued by the Colts and the Steelers. Who would have thought at the beginning of the season that we would get to week 9 and the Colts and the Steelers would be one of the games with major playoff implications?
If you would have told me that, I would have been like, yeah, what do they do? Both slugging it out at 3-4 or 4-3 for a wild card spot. The fact that the Colts would be 7-1 and Aaron Rodgers would be having, a pretty solid 3 or 4 game stretch right now for the Steelers. That I did not have that on my bingo card. You got me there.
And I think for both of these teams, this is a really big game. The Steelers already had Baltimore win against Miami on Thursday Night Football. They've lost 2 in a row. Pittsburgh has. They've got the Colts, and then they go to L.A. to take on the Chargers. Then they got the Bengals, who are kind of revived under Joe Flacco. Then they have to go to Chicago. Then they've got the Bills at home. Then they go to Baltimore before they face the Dolphins. And then they wind up, by the way, at Detroit, at Cleveland, and then with the Ravens at home. So the Steelers have a gauntlet, including this game against the Colts. But the Colts still have the Houston Texans on their tail. And I'm not so sure, Matthew, that the Texans aren't still thinking that they're going to win this division. We're going to talk about Houston a little bit later on in the program, but you just look at what Indianapolis has to deal with after today's game against Pittsburgh. And they still have a home game against the Falcons. Then they go to Kansas City. They still have to play Houston twice. Home against the Texans on November 30th. At Jacksonville, you never know. At Seattle, that's going to be a tough one. Home against the 49ers, you never know. And by the way, that's a Monday Night Football game. Jacksonville at home, and then they wrap up, Indianapolis does, at Houston. So both of these teams have to look at this game as kind of a must-win.
Yeah, and for me, everyone's searching for this Colts team. Where's the flaw? What are we missing that's going to rear its ugly head? And I saw a really good post yesterday on X or Twitter, however you want to call it. Daniel Jones, well and above anybody else in the league, is throwing to his first read a crazy amount of times, Randy. So is that something that tells you, like later on in the season, when a good defensive coordinator can hone in on it? Is that a problem for the Colts? It's a little thing. Maybe it's overlooking at things, but it's something that for me, as soon as I saw it, it gave me at least a feather in the cap of, okay, they're not a bad team. I'm not saying they're completely frauds, but is there a crack somewhere where instead of cruising to like 14-3, they hit a rough patch and we see this team finish like 11-6 or something along those lines? That'd be a 4-5 record from here on out. It wouldn't shock me if that starts with the Steelers. I know TJ Watt hasn't been that level of playmaker this year on the defensive side. In fact, no one who's getting paid big money on the Pittsburgh Steelers defense has been making the big plays they're supposed to, but it wouldn't shock me. Nothing shocks me with Mike Tomlin in a home game against another team that he's not supposed to win against, game planning it up and winning this one.
I think that what's happening for Daniel Jones is that teams are packing the box for Jonathan Taylor, who leads the league with 850 yards. By the way, he's about 100 yards ahead of the number 2 guy in the league. James Cook has 753. Taylor has 850. And I think off of play action, he can look at that first read, and that guy, more times than not, is going to be one-on-one. And he's able to go to him, whether it is one of the receivers or the tight end, or sometimes Taylor himself. I'm not surprised at all by that statistic. And their offensive line is playing so well. They're playing, to me, and Steichen is doing a great job of playing the passing game off of the running game. They're doing it as well as it can possibly be done.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. And to your point, no precipitation this weekend in Pittsburgh, which means that Acrisure Field, which should still be called Heinz Field, Acrisure Stadium, which still should be called Heinz Field, won't be the wet, sloppy mess that it can be when it rains. Had it rained, I would almost go mortgage bet on the Steelers here, because if you can take away Jonathan Taylor, then you could probably take away the Colts, to your point. But it looks like it's going to be a nice, sunny, bright day in Pittsburgh, which means Jonathan Taylor is going to be able to run, which probably means the Colts aren't going to be many problems.
And Matthew, tell me if you agree with this. I think that if you had Jonathan Taylor on the Steelers and you would put Jaylen Warren on the Colts, I think the Steelers would win this game. I think the difference in the whole game is Jonathan Taylor. If Taylor's a Steeler, they win. Because Taylor is a Colt, they win.
I like that. Yeah, I think that's a great way to look at this game. Absolutely. Focus on the quarter. We're talking about running backs, baby. We're in a league where James Cook's the second leading rusher. It's back.
It is. All right. Another one that is of interest is the Broncos and the Texans. And we talked about how Houston could catch up and track down the Colts. The Broncos are a really good football team. They're going to have to just keep winning because Kansas City doesn't look like they're going anywhere. And I'm of the opinion here that the Texans, with the number one scoring defense in the league, have a really good chance to knock off Denver.
Yeah, that's me, because we know Denver's obviously an incredibly good defensive team themselves, although with the injury to Pat Surtain, how much does that affect things? Mm-hmm. But the big question for me is, Sean Payton, when you have all these short fields and things like that, makes scheming up your offense a little bit easier. So now, against one of the top defenses with a young quarterback, can the Broncos consistently find a way to march down the field and score this weekend in an away game? That's going to be a big question. That's why Houston's that's why Houston is the favorite, despite not being the better team. They're at home. They got a great defense. I think, this is a tough one to bet because the spread's so small, but I'm feeling Texans money line on this one. It's gonna give you a good spread, and this is gonna be a sloppy game. And I think we could see the Texans pull this one out.
Denver 4-0 at home, 2-2 on the road, and Houston is 2-1 at home, 1-3 on the road. So from that perspective, it sets up well for the Texans. Texans played really well last week. I'm with you. I think that this is a game that Houston has a great chance to win, and there's going to be a little bit of desperation, I would think, on the part of the Broncos, simply because we're all talking about Kansas City being back and being the best team in the league. Kansas City's still a game behind Denver in the AFC West, and like I said off the top, I think Denver has to do everything they can every week. Not that every NFL team doesn't, but they see Kansas City in the rearview mirror, and they don't want to be tied with the Chiefs, even though they still have a couple of games left against Kansas City. I don't know that anybody in the league, Matthew, thinks that they're as good as the Chiefs are.
No, nobody does, and nobody should. This is the thing about the NFL. I don't care how you look the first 3 weeks. Like you said, it's preseason, baby. But you have the track record of being a multi-time Super Bowl, the most dominant team in the league. There's still huge questions along the offensive line. So the Chiefs could even get better if this whole Josh Simmons things eventually gets figured out, which, we don't even know what it is, but I'm just calling it a thing. If that does get figured out, it seems like the world is Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce's oyster. Did you see that last week? Travis Kelce's running 7 miles per hour faster than he was at the beginning of the season. What the hell's going on in Kansas City? Ridiculous.
There's something in the water. He's fired up. So, by the way, Chiefs and Broncos play their first game in 2 weeks at Denver. That's on CBS on November 16th. And then those two teams play, Matthew, on Christmas night at Kansas City on Prime Video at 7:15. So Denver at Kansas City on Christmas night. You've got something to do.
There we go. I like that. That's a good way to set it up. I set up my schedule for me. I don't need family things. Just give me a football schedule. Let's go.
All right. And then finally, let's shove the Chiefs down the throats of the people that are tuned in. They play the Bills. Buffalo 4-1 against Kansas City in recent play in the regular season, but 0-4 against Kansas City come playoff time. That's Mahomes quarterbacking the Chiefs, Allen quarterbacking the Bills. When they play in the regular season, Allen's team is 4-1. When they play in the postseason, Allen's team is 0-4. But because of what we talked about with the Houston-Denver game, the desperation, I kind of think that Kansas City is on their game now and they don't want to let it go.
Yeah, It doesn't surprise me at all. The one thing, I'll focus on weather here. It could get down to 39 degrees with 15-mile-per-hour winds
Okay.
in Buffalo. So with the Bills, as we just talked about, having the second leading rusher in the league in James Cook, maybe that's one way that they're able to keep this game handled, slows down a Chiefs offense that, despite Isaiah Pacheco having some talent, just has never been able to get the running game going in the last year and a half plus. But at the same time, Travis Kelce's looking better. The Bills don't look as dominant at times offensively as they had before. Their defense is taking hits with Ed Oliver with, I think it was like a separated shoulder or something along those lines. So there's a lot of reasons for me to go back and forth on this one. Kansas City favored by 1.5 on the road, some crappy weather. I wonder if I'm taking the Bills on this one and I wonder if I go money line because it's a home game. This is a tricky one. Because, again, I really think the Bills are going to be able to run against the Chiefs. And if you can do that, you take the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands as well. So there's a lot of parts of this equation that goes in the Bills' hands. But then again, I could have said that in all those playoff games, and I would have been freaking over.
Yep. Yeah, it's true. No doubt. Buffalo, by the way, people say they don't trust their defense. They're allowing 161.9 yards a game through the air. They're second in the league. I don't know why people say they don't trust the Buffalo defense. I think Sean McDermott does an amazing job defensively, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're able to hold down the Chiefs. And by the way, you mentioned the rushing game. If there is an Achilles heel for Buffalo, that's where it would be. They're in the bottom 10. Actually, they're second to last against the rush, allowing 150.3 yards per game. So if Kansas City is going to win this on offense based upon what the defensive statistics are, then you would think that they would try to run the ball and that you'd see a lot of Hunt and Pacheco.
Yeah, I think that's one way to control the game. I don't have a lot of faith in the Chiefs running game. That's my big thing. Kareem Hunt's having a good year. There's no doubt about that, but you're not going to catch me saying good things about Kareem Hunt.
Well, he's a pretty good running back.
Hey, fine. I'll admit that.
He's fine.
I'll admit that. Fine.
But I will say this: with the weather forecast that you gave, I would think that it will probably not be a passing game, and then it might come down to Cook and whoever the running backs for Kansas City are that they utilize in the game. But then, and this is one thing that always seems to happen in these regular season games. The plays that Josh Allen makes with his legs. Doesn't it seem like every time they play in the regular season that Allen gets them on a play with his legs?
Every time.
Yeah. So I think that, man, Kansas City's favored.
They're so annoying to bet on. They're such an annoying team to bet on because every time you sit there and go, I have all these reasons why it'll work. And then Patrick Mahomes is sitting there with his damn Kermit the Frog voice ready to take all your money.
Right. I think I'll go with Buffalo here. I think I'll go with Buffalo to win this game over Kansas City. And by the way, Buffalo, if I'm not mistaken, was off last week, right? They are heading into this one fully prepared.
Yeah.
So I think that works to their benefit as well, obviously. So I'll go with the Bills based on regular season history, because of Josh Allen, because of the statistics that we poured out there for you. I'm with you. I'm going to go with Buffalo.
I think that makes sense. Let you know what, and it's a lot of fun on those small spreads. I kind of like every once in a while being forced to make a money line call, and that's what I'm doing here with the Buffalo Bills.
All right, and you can find that money line on DraftKings, where the crown is yours. And hey, you know what you need to do is just find your favorite touchdown, and it's probably the next one, because with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, every touchdown could bring you closer to cashing in. From first touchdown score, maybe it'll be Rashee Rice, maybe it'll be Kareem Hunt, maybe it'll be Josh Allen, to anytime TD props or the thrill of live in-game betting. Every snap is loaded with opportunity at DraftKings Sportsbook. And we're talking about this game, lots of fun games throughout the course of the NFL, including the three that we've talked about here. Here's the best part. New customers bet $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Your team hitting pay dirt pays out to you. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code STL Sports. That's code STL Sports for new customers to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Hey, Matthew, we didn't talk about it today because it's a Monday night game. The Arizona Cardinals visit the Dallas Cowboys. And on Monday, I am going to wear Cardinals gear.
Okay.
I'm going to root for the Cardinals. And not only because they're playing the Cowboys, but the Cardinals, I've gone back to my childhood team.
You know what? And you know, you have a really good, very attractive person doing that with you. And I'm not talking about Greg Amsinger, so I'll amend that. You have two very talented, very attractive people, because today I saw a clip. Do you know who else's favorite team is the original St. Louis Football Cardinals?
Who?
John Hamm.
Oh, there we go.
He said that is his original favorite team, not the baseball Cardinals. The football Cardinals are John Hamm's original favorite team here in St. Louis. So, I mean, you, John Hamm, Greg Amsinger, I mean, good looks, brains, hair.
Whoa.
What else do you need?
Well, thank you. That's very nice of you to say.
You're welcome.
I will say this. One of the reasons, and I don't have any huge emotional investment. It's not like if they lose on Monday that I will be up the whole night. But the thing is, I can tell you this, that as a fan, and obviously you all know that I went away for when the Rams were here, and I really haven't had a team. But the reason that I'm a Cardinal fan is because if they ever do become good, nobody will be able to accuse me of jumping on the bandwagon. I'm there at the nadir. I was at the worst loss in the history of the NFL to the Tennessee Titans, Matthew. So I'm not a bandwagon jumper. I'm getting in when the going is bad.
Well, this season, too, especially, this is going to be one of those years where somebody's going to ask you, oh, you're a real Cardinals fan? Then name me the 14 running backs who played for them in 2025. And you'll be able to do it, because it's going to be a long, long list before this year ends, because good Lord Almighty, that position in that town is cursed.
Michael Carter, Bam Knight, Mary DiMercato. We've got our guy, Trey Benson. We've got our guy, James Conner. Yeah, I got the gamut. Yeah, they all suck.
Fair enough.
All right. Matthew, enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy the games. And we will be back with you on the Randy Karraker Show on Monday here on STL Sports Central. Don't forget all kinds of great material, all kinds of great content throughout the day and the night here at STL Sports Central. We'll see you next time.